Hey everybody, it's Michael from Aurora Knife and Tool, and I wanted to take a second to show you one of my favorite aspects of modern pocket knives, which is the fidget factor. So here you have the Aurora Knife and Tool hive mind, the Aurora Knife and Tool truffles, and when I designed these knives, I designed them, of course, to cut things, because that's what knives do, but I also wanted them to be fun to interact with. And so one of the ways that you can do that is by introducing multiple opening methods for the knife. So with hive mind, we have the opening method of the opening hole here, we have the button, and we also have a front flipper right here. And with truffles, there is, of course, the button, there is the rear flipper, the front flipper, and the opening hole as well. And so you've got one additional opening method with truffles, but because hive mind is based on the aggregate design of over 500 other knives, you know, the outline just did not allow there to be a flipper tab. So what I wanted to do is kind of show you how these function. And so, of course, the one that you're probably the most familiar with is the rear flipper tab. So with this one, you've got just, you know, pulling back here. You can either light switch like you're pulling down a light switch, or you can technically press. If you kind of press at a little bit of a downward way, you have to get your finger out of the way of that. Otherwise, it's going to come back and hit you. But you can do push, or you can do a flip. Now, the way this also works is, instead of in a lot of your knives, you're going to have springs that make them pop open faster. But the problem with that is that then you have to fight them. You know, you have to press to get them to close. But with this, it has a detent in it, which is essentially like a ball and socket. So as you're pressing down and you're building up pressure, that eventually that ball builds up enough pressure to escape the detent, that hole, and that provides enough pressure for the knife to fully deploy. So that is the rear flipper. Now, one of my favorite ways to open a pocket knife is the middle flick. So you're essentially kind of, think of it like you're thumping. You know, when you're thumping, you're building up some pressure here against your thumb. You're kind of loading that pressure, and then you release it to make that thumping sound. And that's kind of what you're doing here. You're building up pressure here, and then you flick and you make sure to get your finger out of the way of the knife so that you don't open it and then, you know, stop it from opening. But you can do it down here. It's going to be a little easier. Up here, it's going to be a little harder. But with a wide opening hole like that, it gives you a lot of options. Now, you've probably seen people do with the thumb stud. My knives don't have thumb studs on them. You can technically open it with your thumb like you would do a thumb stud, but it's not exactly designed for that. And then probably one of my second favorite ways to open a knife is a front flipper. So you can see there's some jimping here, these lines that provide you a little bit of resistance. And you kind of think of it like you're doing like a Zippo lighter, you know, except it's, you know, it's a different direction, but the principle is the same. You're trying to roll your thumb over, and you're still kind of building up a little bit of that pressure to make it pop, and then getting your thumb out of the way to open it up that way. And again, you do have to watch with the ones with the flipper tab on the rear, because you can get too close, and then you can hit it with your finger here, which keeps it from opening. But as long as you've got it clear, you can do it that way. And one trick here that you might be missing is happening on the back side, because I'm actually using my pinky and my ring finger to hang on to the knife. That way I'm not needing these other fingers to actually open it. So I can open it with my thumb. I can open it with, again, these two fingers here are holding it by the pocket clip. Just open it that way, open it this way, the rear flipper. And of course, there's some other ways. I've seen people that can kind of like hold the knife this way and pull this way. I'm not really great at doing that one. So the middle flick, the front flipper roll, the back flipper, of course, the button itself, you can just press and flick out as well. Of course, when you've got it pointed with gravity helping, when you're not trying to do it laterally on a video, the action drops a lot smoother because you've got gravity pulling that down. And then all this applies the same for hive mind, except of course with hive mind you don't have the rear flipper tab. So you've got the middle flick, you've got the front flipper, and you've got the button. So you've got three ways that you can, you know, primarily open that. And again, I'm holding on to it with my finger here. So just a couple different fun ways to interact with your knives. It's one of my favorite aspects of the modern pocket knife, so I thought I would share it with you. Thanks so much.